attack of the killer tomatoes. These indeterminate tomatoes on stakes are just going crazy, and they've got branches going everywhere. I don't know how to keep them orderly. Danielle, help!
Sarah, what's the matter? What's the matter?
These indeterminate tomatoes are driving me crazy. They've got a million arms everywhere, and I don't know where to tie them.
Oh, for goodness sake. I thought you had spotted some late blight disease or something on your tomatoes. Listen, if it's just staking and tying, I have 2 different methods to show you, and that should take care of it.
Okay, well, can you help me out first?
Come here. There's 2 reasons to tie tomatoes to their stake: to train the leader or to support the fruit. To train the leader to grow upright, use a piece of pantyhose. Cut off a small section, then use a loose figure 8 to secure the stem to the stake. Tie it in a knot. To support burgeoning fruit, loop a long piece of pantyhose around the stem above the fruit cluster and tie it to the stake 6 to 10 inches higher. Loop the tie twice around the stake and knot it off tightly so the tomatoes don't pull it down with their weight.
Okay, so what about all these side branches? I mean, I've got a cherry tomato branch from this plant all the way over here.
Well, you can actually use those figure 8 training ties to pull it back towards the main plant. You can also prune off some of the branches if they get totally out of control. It's usually a good idea to do both.
Okay, well, I don't want to lose any fruit. Oh no, look at this. It's blossom end rot, isn't it?
Oh, it is. You know what? That's usually a sign of just inconsistent watering, and it's really hard to avoid when it's this hot and dry. But the good thing is that you can start watering and it'll be okay. We'll combat this blossom end rot. And look, it's starting to ripen.
Yeah, that's the good news. So keep your phone on, because I'll be calling you when it's time to harvest.
Sounds good.
So I'm going to make this short and sweet. I want to harvest my tomatoes now. But how do I know when they're really ripe? Obviously they turn red, but how red? And what about yellow tomatoes or green zebras? I guess I better call on Danielle one more time to give me the skinny on how to harvest my crop of prize tomatoes.
So I know you've been looking forward to this moment all season long, Sarah.
Yeah, and I'm definitely seeing some red cherry tomatoes. But how do I know that I'm picking them at the absolute peak of their flavor?
Well, to know whether a tomato's ready to pick, you want to look for 3 different things: color, smell, and squishability.
Squishability? Is that one of your technical terms?
It absolutely is. Here, let me explain a little further. Before plucking a tomato off the vine, check out its coloring. If the variety is supposed to be red when ripe, then look for the fruit to be bright red. For pink-fruited varieties, look for more of a dusty rose color. Orange and yellow types should be exactly that, orange or yellow in color. For green when ripe varieties like green zebra, remember that if the fruit starts to turn a dark amber yellow color, then you've waited too long and they're overripe. A little bit of yellow is okay. If you're still not exactly sure if the fruit is ripe, give it a smell. When tomatoes start to ripen, they start to smell like, well, ripe tomatoes. When they're immature, they usually don't have any smell at all. Finally, one last test for ripe tomatoes is the squish test. Gently take your thumb and press it against the side of the fruit. If it's too hard to press in a little, then the fruit isn't ripe. If it leaves a temporary indentation, then bounces back, it's ready to be picked. If the indentation remains in place, it's too late and the fruit is overripe.
Okay, you've covered every color except these black crim. How do I know about them?
Any black tomatoes should look kind of like a deep dusty purple in color, and then you can still do the smell and squishability test.
This one looks pretty good.
Oh my gosh, that's good. Look at how pretty.
So I'm noticing that as my tomatoes have ripened, the foliage, especially near the bottom, has gotten really nasty looking. Is that something I should be worried about?
No, actually, because your tomato plants are putting all their energy into producing fruit and ripening the fruit at this point. So it's perfectly natural for the bottoms to look, how do you say, yucky?
Oh boy, this one is definitely past its prime.
Oh yeah.
Will it still taste okay?
You know what? Overripe tomatoes are perfect to use for sauce, unless we can give it to Juno as a chew toy.
Juno, wanna play fetch? Go get it.